Yo, what's up, guys? We got UFC Fight Night Strickland versus Hernandez. We're back from the week break, and we're not particularly back with a bang. I mean, I look at this card, and there is a clear lack of star power on the card. Like, obviously, great main event, but besides that, it's just not too much talent. Honestly, I think the last Apex card was better than this. Like, going from Horiguchi and Albazi as like a decent contender fight to a questionable matchup in Jeff Neal facing like a guy who's very much unranked in Euros Medic. I don't love it. I can't lie, but let's get right into this with the early prelim opener of Juliana Miller versus Carly Judice. And Juliana Miller, I mean, bless her, she is a jiu-jitsu girl. She trains out of 10th Planet, but she is not very high level at all. Like, if you watch back any of her fights, they're rather painful, if I'm being honest. And honestly, I don't think she provides much of a threat to Carly whatsoever. If we look at Carly, you might look at these records and think that it's going to be quite an even matchup. But Carly Judice is actually a pretty good 5-2 for women's MMA. I mean, she's won all of her fights by knockout, and you look at her two losses, they're both split decisions. She actually got a UFC contract based off a split decision on the Contender Series, which almost never happens. So that tells you the UFC clearly sees something in her. Both split decisions are somewhat robberies. And besides that, she's won every single fight by knockout. So, yeah, I think she's going to walk through Juliana Miller. I may even say this fight ends in a knockout, and I think I will. I think I'm going to go Carly Judice, first-round knockout. You look at the odds, she's a massive favorite. It's not going to be the lock of the card, but it is one where it's like there's a massive skill gap in these two fighters. Another pretty big skill gap when we move on to the next fight is Jordan Levitt versus Yadier Dalval. Levitt is a decent fighter. He's one of those guys who is looking to take it to the ground, but also super susceptible when he gets to the ground. Not the highest output, but I honestly don't think that will be too much of a problem in this fight. I think the power is going to be a big problem. This fight is at featherweight too, so Levitt is cutting a lot of weight to get down. He is quite big for featherweight. I mean, he's decently big for lightweight, let alone featherweight. So I think that's going to be a tough weight cut to get down here. Yadier does have quite good power mixed with the good wrestling. And his UFC career started off great. He's coming off two first-round submissions. One was actually his last performance, which was the fight that actually got rigged by Isaac Dolgarian, which honestly, I think Yadier still could have won that fight. And that whole betting scandal kind of overlooked Yadier as a prospect. And a very good performance. Dolgarian was probably rigging it, but Yadier had to get him down there. He looked good. He hurt him on the feet. So it was still a good performance. I think this is a guy who can decently go far at featherweight. Well, could he get stopped one day? Yes, but is Levitt the competition that's going to do it? No. Maybe if Levitt can keep the range and kind of defensively wrestle first and wear him out, because Yadier is quite a ripped dude, and maybe he can win that way, but I doubt it. I'm going to go Dalval second round submission. I could see it kind of being where he puts it on him first. Levitt kind of weathers the storm, then cracks him maybe with a big shot. They kind of have a back and forth. And then Levitt has some good moments, but then Dalval is able to take it to the ground. Levitt gets a bit overzealous. He kind of does have shit IQ at times. And then Dalval gets a submission. That's how I see it going. I could also see him getting in the first. Yeah, I think Dalval is a pretty safe pick here. Next fight, we got Phil Rowe versus Jean-Paul Lebosniani. Honest to God, one of my favorite names in the UFC right now. This is an interesting scrap. We got Phil Rowe, who I think is very talented. He had a very tough matchup in his last fight against Suk Young Ko. And the one before that against Angelusa, he was kind of losing every single round and then gets a clutch third-round knockout. And it's weird. He's 11-6, kind of journeyman, but he's got a lot of positives about his game that I really like. And to start, he's 6'3" with an insane reach. This guy's got an 80-inch reach, 80.5 to be exact. And I think he's good. He's got this weirdly well-rounded game, does have some ability with submissions, good wiry power, a surprisingly high output too for kind of a lanky guy. He sets up his shots very well. Quite an accurate striker too, and he's a very smart offensive striker. And decently smart with the jiu-jitsu. He kind of reminds me of Jalen Turner, He's almost a welterweight Jalen Turner, but it's defensively where he really struggles. He does not keep his range well for a dude who's 6'3". The wrestling is also not great. He is kind of weak for welterweight, as these tall, lanky guys usually are. They're getting wrestle-fucked that much by Angelusa, getting completely destroyed in the wrestling against Suk Young Ko. Not great. And this matchup, I don't love for him. Jean-Paul is quite well-rounded. I could see him using the wrestling a lot in this fight. From what I've heard, guys close to Jean-Paul say is he's one of the smartest fighters they've ever worked with. A lot of positives about this guy, and I think he could go pretty far in the sport. So I think I am going to go Jean-Paul. I'd love to see Phil Rowe go on a bit of a run, but just don't think it's there for him. Jean-Paul is going to mix up the boxing well. I think he's going to cut off the range almost instantly, and it's not even going to look like a problem for him. I think he's going to be able to mix it up well with hooks to the body, bringing it up top. I think this is going to be a pretty dominating matchup. I don't think he's going to get him out of there. I mean, Phil Rowe definitely is there to be finished almost every single fight. Do I maybe see a sneaky little submission getting through? I might, I might. I know he got an impressive knockout on the Contender Series, and Phil Rowe does have decent jiu-jitsu. Like has he been submitted before? Let me check. No, he hasn't. Wow, he actually doesn't get finished too often. Only one time by knockout. For some reason I thought it was more. But yeah, so I'll go Jean-Paul decision. I think this is pretty safe too. I don't think maybe Phil Rowe puts him out there, and Jean-Paul, I could see him being a dude who's a bit chinny. I don't know why. Sometimes these like stocky frame guys who can hardly move their neck are, but yeah, who knows. Next fight, we got Rahim Brahima versus Punahele Soriano. Brahima, a very talented wrestler on an incredibly good run right now, has 3 finishes in his last fight, all against decently low-level competition, but he was a guy who was kind of looking like he was going to go out of the UFC. He had some bad losses to Court McGee, Themba Garimbo, Max Griffin, like some real bottom feeders. Had some really rough performances on the feet where he just was not looking the level. But after that Themba Garimbo loss, he just completely flipped a switch where he does actually look like he has like competent striking. And the submissions, the submission ability, it almost feels like he's just always kind of threatening some sort of submission. Really good ground game. I love his wrestling. Every single one of his wins have been a submission. I could see this going the same way in this fight with Soriano. Punahele, on the other hand, is actually on a 3-fight win streak of his own, but also he does have some pretty rough losses on the record. He was actually at middleweight for a while, then moved down. I think he's undefeated at welterweight, so it has been going quite well. And he actually knocked out Uros Medic, the guy who's fighting Jeff Neal for a ranked spot on the same card. Makes no fucking sense. Terrible matchmaking. He knocked him out in 31 seconds, too, in 2025. Like, this was last year, and Medic is going to jump up. I don't know what the UFC are doing. But yeah, Soriano, there's a lot to like. He's got good power, decent wrestling, but he's such an idiot with his wrestling sometimes. Like, just throw himself into submissions. And I see that happening this fight. Like, a guy who's constantly throwing up submissions. His opponent who's just constantly lunging head first into takedowns. It's just not smart. I'd expect both these guys to mix in the grappling. Like, I don't think this is going to be... Brahima definitely is. Soriano, I think, would believe in himself to get some decent takedowns as well. In his last fight, he was taking down Veretennikov, like, just nonstop. I think he had, like, something like over 10 minutes of control time. Just look at this matchup. Who is more dangerous? And I gotta lean Brahima, but maybe not. Maybe Soriano is able to kind of gate the wrestling of Brahima, but Brahima has been able to submit a lot of wrestlers and to finish a lot of wrestlers. Kind of torn on this. I'm really torn. I'm actually kind of switching up my decision last second, but you know what? I'm going to switch it up. I was going to go Brahima, but I'm looking at this now. I think Soriano is good enough to kind of negate the wrestling somewhat, or just mitigate it, to a point where Brahima isn't submitting him in the first round. Did get submitted to Soltzfus, which is very concerning, but the guy's got decent wins and he looks good in his wins. He's got a lot of power on the feet and way better striking. I'm going to go for the underdog. I'm going to go Soriano decision. Risky one, but you know what? I don't hate it. Next fight, we got Hosleen Edwards versus Nora Conol. This fight, I can't lie, I think this is all Edwards, this fight. You look at this matchup. Edwards is the younger out of the two. He's taller. He's got a longer reach. She's got more experience, more fights, more speed, better wrestling, higher output, higher pressure. Like, pretty much just every way the fight could pan out, I see Edwards winning. I don't think Nora's got too much talent, in all honesty. Like, you look at her wins, have aged quite poorly. She does actually, besides ironically Edwards, which she did unanimous decision in 2023. But you look at that, that was her debut in the UFC, and she hasn't looked that impressive since. And Edwards, since that fight, has fought the same amount of times, but she has looked much more impressive. A lot more finishing potential, I believe, with Edwards. And she's the more experienced fighter, She has way more fights in the UFC. It's unlikely she's going to get finished. So I'm trying not to overthink it. I know she does have the loss to Nora, and she has faced kind of these top-level competition guys in the past, and Aline Perez, Carla Rosa, and has lost every single one of them. And is she just one of these people who will lose to the top level, and this is kind of the gap? Like, she's not top 15 quality, but she's looked top 15 quality. Like, it's not like she's just struggling, getting by with these decisions. Like, nah, she's going out there and getting these girls out quick. So I'm going Edwards. Give me Edwards' decision. I feel like it's always a safe bet going decision. Next fight, we got Alden Correa versus Luis Garule, and I think Correa's going to dog walk him. I looked at Garule, sorry. This guy cannot take a punch. Like, he came in as an undefeated prospect, was looking super good, had a lot of promise to his game, and since then, he has just kind of been as unimpressive as he could possibly be in the UFC. Dude seems too short for flyweight. He's got no chin, no heart. Supposed to have this background in wrestling, but he is just not able to get it off at all at the UFC level. Got chinned by Ode Osborne in his first fight. And actually, these guys fought in the same card. And on that card, Alden Correa was fighting a lot higher competition, facing Alessandro Costa, and he looked amazing. He was able to get off the wrestling. He defended takedowns well, facing a very strong guy in Alessandro Costa. And he's putting belt to ass. Like, he's so accurate on the feet. Good output. Such a well-fought pace, too. I was very impressed by Correa, and I think he can be a decent little guy. Maybe he sneaks into the top 15, but yeah, Luis is not good. Like, he's not a fighter. He just doesn't look like he's got that dog in him, you know, that you need to be a fighter. I mean, he trains out of the camp and then Royval, so maybe he's trying to develop the dog in there a bit, but he doesn't look too good. He's got these stubby arms. Not too much I like about his game. I'm going to go Correa. Honestly, I'm going to go knockout in the first round. I think Garule's kind of realizing his UFC career is done in Korea. His UFC career is just getting started. He's young too. Yeah, let me go first round knockout. Next fight, we got Ode Osborne versus Elidi Adiris. This is a tough one. I think this is a lot closer than a lot of people think. I think Ode can win this. The guy's got a strong jab, good calf kicks, decent power. I mean, you saw his last fight. He had a close competitive fight against Steve Erceg. I think a big problem is the wrestling. Doesn't have great wrestling. Doesn't have great jiu-jitsu. He leaves his neck so open in a lot of these fights. But you see these flashes in all of these fights where it's like, okay, Ode could have won that fight. He's very experienced in the UFC, even though he's almost always been a win-loss fighter. He's 1-4 in his last 5, which I absolutely hate. And his last win before that was a split decision against Charles Johnson. But yeah, for some reason, I'm leaning Ode here. He's got a lot of speed in his hands. Like, he's quite a quick fighter for being a tall guy. You look at pretty much all of his finishing sequences, or at times he knocks them down. They're flash knockouts, you know, where he darts in well. And he can do that. But I almost want to see a more slow, methodical kind of approach where he's just picking them off at range, kind of walking them down. The walking them down is actually important in this. This dude does not like to be hit. So Ode, you have to hit him this fight. I think you could put it on him early in this fight and kind of get him out of there. First round. I could also see a point where he's kind of feels like he's behind, maybe it's 1-1 and he's quitting towards the end. Ode kind of doesn't have the best gas tank. Like you saw in the Ronaldo Rodriguez fight, he was able to get taken down pretty easily even after seriously hurting him. He was throwing up these stupid fucking triangles that were never going to land. He had a smart fight. If Ode fights a smart fight, I think he wins this. But that almost never happens. But honestly, I think this Alibi guy, a lot of people are going to go for him because they see like, oh shit, 11-1. His only loss was on Tough. Oh, this guy's sick. He's like the Kazakhstani prospect, you know, when we see guys from over there with these crazy records. We always kind of lean towards him. I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's that high level. If you look at his Tough performance, he just kind of looked overwhelmed that whole time against Joseph Morales. Joseph Morales is a pretty top dude and a very good prospect. But yeah, I didn't like what I've seen from Alibi at all. I'm going to go Ode in this. Do I see him getting a knockout? Maybe not. I wonder if he's an underdog in this. Yeah, he is. It's close. It's close odds. So we're going for another underdog. Maybe we're leaning a bit too many underdogs this early on in the card. But yeah, I'm going Ode. Do I see him getting a finish? Honestly, is there a world where he gets a submission? Probably not. I think someone else has to initiate the grappling for Ode to get a submission when it's like a reversal or something like that, or it's just because he's got such long limbs, you know? Let's go Ode, first round knockout. Why not? I don't mind that. Next fight, this is a difficult one. We got Chidi Njokuani versus Carlos Leal. In my opinion, this should be Carlos Leal. There's no doubt that this should be Carlos Leal. If you look at the odds, they're quite close. And if you checked like 2 weeks ago, they were not close. And when we see lines drop this drastically, it means two things. One, there's an injury. Two, there's something kind of sketchy going on. And we've been seeing it. It's been quite fucking prevalent in the UFC. Like, we've had 2 fights where lines have shifted massively. And it has shifted massively in favor of Chidi Njokuani when it's almost a pick 'em now. Chidi, I mean, if we want to look at him first, the dude's huge. He's got a ton of power, great striking. Problem's the same for most tall, skinny guys with power. He's not strong. He's got bad wrestling, gets taken down quite easily. His accuracy is elite on the feet. He's got very good output for a guy, mainly a power striker, you know? Love his low kicks. I love a lot of his game. It is very impressive on the feet. He can keep his range so well. He has an insane reach. He's constantly moving on the outside, too. There's a lot to like about his game, but he is struggling to make weight. Like, realistically, he is a middleweight, but he's not good enough there. He gets chinned a lot. So he's moved down, and he just can't make weight. He missed weight in his last fight and still got taken down pretty easily by Jake Matthews and submitted in the first. And Carlos Leal is a very talented fighter. In his debut, he got absolutely robbed against Rinat Fakhretdinov, and then he starches Alex Morono in like a volume knockout in the first round, just basically. Like, it was almost like a standing TKO against Alex Morono. And his next fight against Muslim Salikov, he gets caught. He gets chinned in 42 seconds. Very concerning. The first time he got knocked out in his career. And at this point, like, Carlos Leal was looking like a very good prospect at welterweight. He's looking like a guy who could maybe go and fight Leon Edwards or someone of that caliber, you know, kind of creep in the rankings, almost doing what like Bonfim's doing right now. And I like this guy. He's got great wrestling. He's got a ton of power on his feet. Insane output. His 1-2 is pretty much as elite as you can get for a guy who's unranked. But the odds shift is so concerning. Is he injured? Is he taking a dive? Who knows? Like, I want to go Leal. I'm going to go Leal first round knockout. Like, that is my prediction. When I look at these two fighters, I see a guy who's very tall, not great striking defense, being a ton of weight. And I see another dude, short, stocky, ton of power, decent wrestling. I think this is pretty much a nightmare matchup for Chidi Njokuani, but the line concerns me so much. So I'm putting an absolute strict ban on betting. This would be a great line to bet on if there wasn't the potential of it being rigged. But yeah, I'm going Carlos Leal first round knockout. If it's rigged, what are we going to do, boys? I'm picking Carlos Leal. I think he's going to do it. Is it an injury? I mean, fucking every single UFC fighter on the roster goes into a fight injured, you know? So yeah, we're going Carlos Leal. And that sums it up for the prelims. A pretty long card, to be honest. So yeah, starting off on the main card, we got Zachary Reese versus Michel Pereira. I can't lie, I'm leaning Zachary Reese. I don't think Michel Pereira is going to win another fight in his UFC career. Michel Pereira was on this crazy run in 2024 until he met Anthony Hernandez. He was on something like a 7-fight win streak. None against really good names. Like, he got a robbery win against Ponzinibbio, but besides that, it all was kind of like joke. Unranked dude wins, like Petrosky. Ior Pretoria is who he got ranked off of. And they're all like early first-round submissions, knockouts, where you do backflips, you know, and you'd illegally hit them on the ground because he's doing a backflip to a grounded opponent. A ton of power in his hands, but he has so many flaws to his game. I mean, the guy has no gas tank at all. I think Hernandez broke him within the first round. Ended up being a 5th-round submission. Honestly, he could have gotten him out of there within like 30 seconds after he took him to the ground, which I'll talk about later when I'm breaking down Anthony Hernandez. But yeah, the guy looks broken. He gets chinned by Daukaus. Daukaus making his return to the UFC, his first fight in so long. And you look at Zachary Reese, he's not the highest level guy, but the guy is 10-2. He's been chinned twice by Bekaev, which was a really bad one. But you look at that knockout, he kind of got finished by ground and pound. It got put out cold by ground and pound, which you almost never see. But the referee actually like dumped him on the back of his head, and the back of his head hit the canvas so hard he got knocked out. And can he get chinned in this? Yes. But you look at that fight, it wasn't like he got caught out of nowhere. Like, Bekaev was just kind of putting it on him. But he is a pretty well-rounded fighter. I think if he gets out of the first, he wins this fight. I think that's how easy it is to beat Michel Pereira. I think Zachary Reese has to be very tentative in the first, be defensive, maybe invest in some calf kicks early on, you know, get that low kick going. But after that, I think the wrestling's there. I think the striking's there. He has a higher output than Michel Pereira. Like, it maybe shows Michel Pereira having a a decent output. Like, let me go check right now. Yeah, 4.49, which isn't anything crazy, but so many of that is from when he's throwing like these 50 punch combinations to a guy who's almost knocked out. But yeah, I'm going Reese. Give me Zachary Reese decision. We're going for another underdog. I think Michel Pereira is so washed. Like, I see a guy trending upwards and a guy trending downwards. I'm typically going to go for the guy trending upwards. It's crazy to think Michel Pereira is only 32. He's been in the UFC forever. He actually started off at welterweight too, which he is a huge welterweight. Typically when you're supposed to go up, you have better cardio, but he just does not. Yeah, I'm going Reese. I'm going Reese decision. I think that's a smart bet. Could I see him getting out of there? Yeah, Michel Pereira just has nothing anymore. Looking like a shell of him former self. I'm going Reese. Next fight, we got Jacoby Smith versus Josiah Harrell. I was looking at the odds. This is a pretty tight fight. Like, the UFC are kind of going away from, like, signing these random cans when they need these short notice replacements. And instead, they're signing guys they actually want to be in the UFC. And I think that's exactly what they've done with Josiah Harrell here. Jacoby Smith was supposed to fight Seok Young Ko, and I thought that was terrible matchmaking for Jacoby Smith. I thought he actually would have lost that one. Yeah, let's break down Jacoby. Khabib said, or not Khabib, Daniel Cormier said this guy was the next Khabib. It was Khabib with power. And he does come from a wrestling background, and he was looking quite good on the Contender Series. He had an incredible short notice debut. But that Nico Price fight, it was very concerning. I'm almost happy that it happened because hopefully this can be a learning experience. But I don't think the wrestling is going to translate as much. I think this guy is going to have to make his UFC career on his hands. He does kind of go headhunting out there. Definitely not a great gas tank, which is surprising, him being a wrestler. We see a lot of times like these wrestlers can't take a punch. I don't think that's Jacoby Smith. I'm worried about the cardio. I can't lie. I don't know anything about this Josiah Harrell guy. As these little breakdowns I've listened to or the highlights I've watched, Josiah is a little guy. He's 5'7" for welterweight. Maybe he's normally a lightweight. I'm not sure, and he just couldn't make the weight, so placed him at welterweight. I don't know. I don't see how Josiah Harrell wins this fight, mainly because I don't know who he is. People have kind of hyped him up, but I'm not sure. Jacoby's got to be smart. He can't punch himself out again. I think if the knockout isn't there in the first round, don't panic. I'd almost prefer a slower start in this fight, which Jacoby Smith doesn't do. Typically, these young guys don't start off slow. Like, they want to get you out of there early. But I need to see a calm, composed matchup, kind of like in his debut, you know. Maybe get the wrestling going early just to try it out, you know, see where it's at. Get a feel for this Josiah Harrell guy. But I still am leaning towards Jacoby Smith. Maybe this could be one of these other Ethan Ewing kind of upsets. At the end of the day, Jacoby Smith is an incredibly talented fighter. I think this line more shows how good Josiah Harrell is. I don't think they'd give up this quickly on him. The Nico Price performance was very concerning. But I think Jacoby Smith still can be a great prospect and a great fighter in the UFC. He is a great prospect. He's definitely got top 15 potential. And he's got a ton of power in his hands. He's got knockout power. He's just got to stay calm with it. Don't punch yourself out. A lot of these guys are tough, you know. They're going to get back up. If the knockout isn't there when you drop him, don't panic. Don't want to see another fight. If that last fight against Nico Smith or against Nico Price was a slightly higher level competition, he would have lost. Don't want to see that again. Okay, going Jacoby Smith. We'll go first round knockout. Stay safe. Next fight, Sergey Spivak versus Ante Delija. I'm going Ante Delija. I think he was kind of getting overhyped just because of how active he was at heavyweight, which we hardly ever see. Ends up getting knocked out by the other most active guy. It was a very promising performance against Waldo Cortez Acosta. He got caught. Like, people get caught. Spivak, I think he's a solid dude. Is he a good enough gatekeeper to pull out a win against Delija? I don't think he is. He's very well-rounded. Good striking, mixes in the wrestling quite smartly. You know, he definitely is a wrestler before striker. Sometimes kind of gets behind in these like kind of exchanges where he's giving one and taking three. And I think that's kind of why he loses. He tends to lose these like close decisions, like kind of like in the Waldo Cortez Acosta fight, in all honesty. And I could see that happening here. He has been knocked out quite a bit in his UFC career. Never submitted, surprisingly. Elijah does have decent wrestling, although I don't think he's going to go to it at all in this fight. I think he's going to try and make a statement after that Waldo loss, and he's going to try and knock him out. I could see him hitting him with that dart and jab to an overhand, kind of wobbling Spivak, maybe getting him up against the fence. Then maybe I see Spivak shooting like kind of panic takedown, and maybe Delija finishes it with like a ground and pound. But I think he's going to put it on him right away. I think we're going to see a ton of pressure, high output, high pace from Delija, which is typically like the kryptonite for these heavyweights. He's going to just overwhelm him. Spivak does have age. Like, surprisingly, the age is on his side. He's only 31, which it feels like he's been in the UFC forever now. But I'm leaning Delija here. I don't think Spivak has the necessary tools to get Delija out. We don't see this being a finish. And if it's going to 3 rounds, I'm going for the lighter guy. I'm going for the guy with better cardio, which is Delija. Delija has like 15 pounds less than Spivak. So I think that could come into play. But I still think Delija will get this knockout. I'm going to go Delija second round KO. There could be a lot of finishes on this card. And this may be one of these cards where it's like, oh my God, you're such a casual. How could you possibly say this was a shit card? Look at all the finishes. It's like, yes, you put guys who get finished in every single one of their fights on a card. He's likely going to get fucking finished. It doesn't mean it was a good card. The level was still shit. So annoying. But yeah, hopefully they don't say this because this is a dog shit card. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but I mean, we're going from the Apex to this, and the Apex should not challenge any single UFC card. End of discussion. Okay, next fight, we got Dan Ige versus Melquizael Costa. I like this matchup. I think this is going to be a good fight. Dan Ige, honestly, I think he's slightly overrated. I don't think the power is actually too crazy. I think the wrestling is super overrated. I know the guy's never been finished, and everyone loves Dan Ige. He's always in kind of decent fights, even though his last one against Pitbull was shit. But you look at all his wins, none of them are actually too good. Super active, though, so everyone loves him. I fuck with Dan Ige. It's possible not to fuck with Dan Ige. He's getting screwed over by the UFC not allowing him to wear red shorts after he literally saved the 303 card fighting Diego Lopez on like fucking 6 minutes notice. They still don't want to give him the red shorts. I don't know why the UFC are just being such fucking assholes sometimes. I don't know. It's a business, but yeah. Dan Ige, I don't like this matchup. I think he kind of just lets himself lose fights a lot, and he kind of just does take the decision instead of really putting himself out there. I hate his output. He does have a ton of power and can hurt you in close, but all his kind of flash knockouts all start from him initiating sequences, you know? I think that's pretty much the nightmare scenario when you're facing Costa, if you have to initiate the sequences. This guy's counters are incredible. The way he is able to pick you off, move off the center line, it is so impressive. Like he'll do these kind of big wind-up hooks, but he does have the speed where he can get that. He gets out of the way. His defense is very good. I'm very impressed by Costa's defense. And the power is there on the feet too. Got a ton of range. He uses it so well. His low kicks are there. Evidently bring it up top as he got one of the best knockouts of 2025 against Morgan Charrier. He was one of the fighters of the year, actually. I had him top 10. He went 4-0. 2 being by submissions, 1 being in a war against Julian Erosa, which isn't that great. This is a pretty decent step up in competition, and Ige has been able to hold the gates against like guys like Sean Woodson, who's a very similar kind of older fighter. And I picked Dan Ige in this fight, but I look at this matchup, I think Costa's going to be quicker than him. I think he's going to have the wrestling advantage too. He can win a round off taking Dan Ige down for maybe 2 minutes or so. I think Dan Ige is going to struggle with the range a lot more in this fight than he did against Woodson. And Dan Ige could chin him, but this Costa guy is tough. He is tough. He has been hurt in a lot of his fights, and his recovery is usually really quick. He's a tough dude. He's got great cardio, and even when he's tired, he still throws efficiently. I think Costa's a really good fighter. I think he can cause some problems at featherweight. So I'm going Costa. Yeah, Ige's bound to lose one of these eventually. The guy's been ranked for like between 10 and 15 for fucking years now. I think it's coming to an end. I'm going to go Costa decision. Pretty confident on this pick. Next fight, co-main, we got Jeff Neal versus Uros Medic. This matchup just makes no fucking sense. Jeff Neal just fights killers and then gets like an egregious step down like when he fought RDA moving up from lightweight. Makes no sense. The guy's got great hands. Ton of power, solid slick boxing, output sometimes not there. Defense usually pretty good, even though he got brutally dominated by Prates and then slimed out. This is a guy who had a close fight with Ian Gary. Like, he mixes up his targets well. He's like not one of these like guys with power who's just constantly going to the head. He'll mix it up to the body. Decent low kicks as well, which I think is going to be pretty effective in this fight. Uros Medic cannot check kicks for shit. And Medic, I mean, what do I got to say about this guy? Like, the guy's coming off 2 knockouts, both in the first round, both actually a minute and 3 seconds. There's no doubt he has power, but you look at his wins, Gilbert Urbina, who is a terrible can, shouldn't even be in the UFC. And Muslim Salkov, yes, he was on an impressive win streak. It's a good win. The dude was 41. He was bound to get chinned eventually. And this guy lost last year to Soriano, who's fighting on the early prelims. And Uros Medic gets the co-main. I don't understand this at all. Maybe they're trying to push the Serbian crowd. Actually, I did hear... I literally just figured it out right now. This is why they're doing this. There apparently is going to be a UFC fight night in Serbia. That is literally it. Praying that Uros Medic can slime out Jeff Neal. It's a guy who's been knocked out brutally in his last fight. A ton of miles on him. Been in a lot of tough fights. Like, you look at the Shavkat fight, the Ian Gary fight. Like, the dude's been through some wars. They're trying to promote Uros Medic to be this top guy. And maybe they'll give him a bigger jump up. Maybe they'll give him like a Leon Edwards. That works because it's in Europe. Oh, that's 100% what they're doing. I was wondering this, but I saw this like actually this morning that they're thinking about doing a Serbia fight. I was wondering like, who the fuck is Serbian? Like, who could they possibly throw on this card? It's Uros Medic. They got some other dudes too, but they're trying to promote Uros Medic. They want that demographic. So maybe I want to change my pick now. Maybe they're trying to give Medic an easy win. Still, I'm going Jeff Neal. He's also 100 days sober, so shout out Jeff Neal. Apparently he's been like, it would just be like a week or so he'd be sober in all his last fights, which is fucking insane. Shout out Jeff, fighting the demons, love to see it. I'm going first round knockout for Jeff Neal. Don't really understand why these odds are too close. I get Neal's been knocked out his last couple. Medic is coming off knockouts, but I don't think he's the level at all. I think there's so many other dudes who are more deserving of the jump up. Even Soriano, who I wouldn't have given it to Soriano, but definitely so many other guys. Now we go to the main event. We got Sean Strickland versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. I can't lie. I have been tossing and turning on this pick for like a good month now. I've been talking to all my boys. Like, this is like, anytime I've been talking to my boys about UFC, this has been the first question. Who do you got? Strickland versus Hernandez. And realistically, like, this is my opinion. I think Sean Strickland is a way more talented fighter than Anthony Hernandez. Like, you look at this matchup, Anthony Hernandez is a guy who's got an insane pace, insane cardio, will get you with this chain wrestling, break you down throughout the fight, constantly taking you down, constantly threaten submission, ground and pound, he will always be damaging you in some way. And that is an incredibly talented fighter. Like, that offense is almost impossible to mitigate. Like, you have to be a top-class fighter to beat an Anthony Hernandez. Like, you've seen Merab become a champion with it. But Sean Strickland is almost the worst possible matchup for Anthony Hernandez. Like, I swear to God, I almost want to say Hamzat would be a better matchup for Anthony Hernandez. Sean Strickland is a fighter with constant pressure. He's constantly moving forward with the jab and teep, keeping you at range, not allowing you to get close. He has great cardio himself. He sticks to the game plan like religiously. This guy does not leave the game plan at all. He'll say, it's a war, guys. We're going to war. We're putting on war for you. This guy is like the perfect Eric Nixick fighter. Game plan is move forward, jab and teep. He is so disciplined when it comes to it. Like, you wouldn't think, like, Sean Strickland, like him being the kind of crazy redneck fucking MAGA guy. There is no one more disciplined in fighting than Sean Strickland. And he has incredible takedown defense. Like, we saw Dricus was able to land like 6 takedowns on him and only controlled him for like a good 20, 30 seconds at most. Like, some of these times it was just like 5 seconds right back to his feet. That's not what you want when you're a cardio wrestler. Strickland also kind of does have like this like almost like Volk Usman power where he's not going to knock you out, but his shots do hurt. And he does damage his opponents bad. Like, we saw Dricus, how like bloodied up and bruised up Dricus. Like, he had black eyes everywhere. Like, Strickland does put a lot of damage on you. The output's insane. The volume's insane. Like, he is almost everything you want in a fighter. Such an easy fighter to coach, you know? Like, just tell him what to do. He does it. And I'm worried about Anthony Hernandez. I look at that Brendan Allen fight. That is one of the most troubling fights I've ever seen. I love Anthony Hernandez. He's one of my favorite fighters. But I looked at that fight. He should have lost against Brendan Allen. When I watched that fight, he clearly looked like the worst fighter. Brendan Allen was so much faster than him on the feet, which I think is a problem for Anthony Hernandez. Like, he does have that lateral quickness to like switch onto someone's back, but on the hands, he is not quick. Like, he does not have that fast twitch muscle fiber whatsoever. He was really struggling with the speed of Allen. Like, Brendan Allen, if it wasn't for like just this negative 10 million IQ that he has sometimes, he could have easily won that fight. And Anthony did say he was injured. And he went from the Michel Pereira performance and the Roman Dolidze performance in between that one. Or like Brendan Allen was in between those ones where he looked incredible. So I could maybe see an injury happening. It was pretty short notice too. He fought 3 months before it. So maybe that's the case. He didn't really look the level on the feet. Like, oh, of course, he can look the level on the feet against Dolidze and Michel Pereira. Is he going to be able to win this fight if he can't get the takedown? I don't think so. I don't think there's a world where he could do that. Strickland is incredibly good on the ground. Like, I think Strickland almost is the best guy to face Hamzat. Like, that's almost my nerd UFC prediction or take, is that Strickland could beat Hamzat. This is troubling, but you look at Strickland recently, he's kind of lost it, you know? Like, after that close fight against Dricus, I think he kind of lost the hunger, you know? He's like, fuck, this was my chance. I'm never going to get it back. And he looked in that Dricus fight. I thought that was his prime. Like, I would say he looked better in that fight than he did against Izzy. He came in incredible shape. He was ripped for the first time in his career. And say he won that fight against Dricus. I scored the first fight against Izzy 4-1. Dricus fight, I'd give him that 3-2. And the Paulo Costa fight, I don't know how the fuck that was a split decision. I go 5-0. In Sean Strickland's prime, he fought 15 rounds against Israel Adesanya, Dricus du Plessis, and Paulo Costa, and he arguably only lost 3 rounds. That's insane. That's world class. I don't think a world class guy loses to a person who does not have good striking, especially when he's a striker. I don't think the takedowns are going to be there for Anthony Hernandez early. I think Strickland's going to be able to defend them when they're dry. You question his heart, though. Like, when I was bringing up the fact that he kind of seemed like he just gave up on that dream. He's super fat out of camp now. He's always doing this, like, bullshit streaming stuff, you know. And then he got suspended. I don't know if his heart's really in there. And your heart has to be in there against Anthony Hernandez. Like, Anthony Hernandez will test your heart. Without question, he will test your heart. Does Sean Strickland still have it within him? I don't know. That's why I'm kind of teetering on this. Like, I think prime Strickland versus prime Anthony Hernandez, give me Strickland every single day of the week, you know. But I don't know if this is prime. Maybe it's in America, like it's Texas too. Maybe that'll give him a little boost that he needs. But I'm worried. But it's also, you look at the logistics in the fight, Strickland will constantly be moving forward, whether his heart's in it or not. Wrestlers typically don't have the best games when they're having to move backwards all the time. And Fluffy kind of has a shit chin, you know? Like, in that first fight against Michel Pereira hits him with a teep early, and it looks like Michel Pereira is going to knock him out within, like, 15 seconds. Like, for some reason, I mean, Anthony Hernandez is kind of chubby fat, or not chubby fat, like, kind of skinny fat, and some guys have been shown to kind of have shit reactions when they get hit to the body when they're skinny fat, and that is Anthony Hernandez. Like, if this teep is just coming non-stop, does Strickland actually get a teep fucking knockout? Who knows? But yeah, I'm still leaning towards Strickland. I love Fluffy. I think it would be so entertaining for him to win. I'd love to see him against Hamzat. I think that's an interesting matchup, to say the least. But I think the UFC did a disservice with this one. I think this is a nightmare matchup for him. Honestly, anyone else, him against Izzy, even against like Imavov, I may be leaning Fluffy. But Strickland, like, this is just terrible. I'm going Strickland. I think it's going to be a Sean Strickland decision. I mean, if you bet a Sean Strickland decision, there's a high chance he's going to get hit. He's a big underdog. Like, Fluffy's nearly a minus 300 favorite, which is insane. But I'm going for Strickland. I'm putting it in. Hopefully the wrestling isn't too bad. He won't give up on this. He does have good cardio himself. Like, Fluffy does have better cardio than him, but not by an egregious amount. Like, not better than fucking, like, the gap between him and Roman Dolidze was, or him and Michel Pereira was. Even Brendan Allen hasn't had the best cardio in his career. So I'm going Strickland. Let's nail it in. Okay, we're moving. We picked a decent amount of underdogs in this card. Like, I didn't pick too many on the last one. But yeah, decent amount of underdogs in this one. Let's go to the lock and underdog of the card. Lock, I'm going Alden Correa. I think he's going to absolutely maul Luis. I think Luis is going to get out of there early. I don't think he's a true fighter. Alden Correa, I think he puts people on notice this fight. I think this is going to be, it could be a highlight finish, you know. I'm going Alden. I think this is honestly probably my safest one of the cards. It's only minus 270. I'm pretty surprised by this line. Like, there's not really any egregious lines. Like, Carly Judas is a minus 700, but you know I am not putting that fight as my fucking lock of the card. I have 5-2 women's fighter. Yeah, give me a fucking break. Underdog of the card. You know what? Fuck it. Give me Sean Strickland. We're going underdog of the card, Sean Strickland. I'm kind of leaning towards Zachary's too, but I think Michelle can definitely like flatline KO him in the first like 15 seconds. I think Strickland wins this. I know UFC. Like, I know the sport. I know these two fighters. I watched older fights. I think Sean Strickland beats Anthony Hernandez. I'm confident in this. Boys, if you got to this far in the video, thank you. I know I haven't been posting as much recently. Been very busy with school. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. We got some great cards coming up. I think this will be a decent card. I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm going to be at my house, so I'm going to be watching every single one. And yeah, I think we're going to see some solid scraps. So guys, if you got this far, thank you for watching. Peace.